Today, we have Toastmaster Chad speaking about his project number 2, which is Organizer's Speech. Chad's graduate thesis was proposal writing for a high-tech agency, where he taught the staff in all the process of writing proposal responses. He has mentored numerous coworkers and friends in the process of writing a variety of documents, including emails, resume, and applications and cover letters. Chad has presented lectures to several clients on the process of writing proposals, business plans, resumes, and grant requests. Chad firmly believes in avoiding cliches like the plague. To present his Toastmaster project number 2, Organize Your Speech, titled The Process of Writing, please help me welcome Chad Cook.
Fellow Toastmasters, effective communication is a process, not an event. Let me repeat that. Effective communication is a process, not an event. I chose the topic to talk about the process of writing because with subject number 2 being about organizing your speech, I thought the ironic parallelism was just too tempting to resist, so I just had to go with it. I think writing is a really challenging topic to talk about because almost everybody thinks they're a good writer. I run into that with clients all the time. Everybody thinks they're a good writer. And I go to touchy egos, and I don't want to touch egos too much, but the reality is, anybody here ever receive emails, just a regular email, that you have no idea why you're getting this email? If you haven't received them, then you're probably sending them. So be cautious there. The other is anybody ever read a set of instructions or procedures that you have no idea what the certain steps are supposed to be? There's steps missing. That's because the writers of those particular things never stopped to develop a process of doing that. They didn't put it into the internal process. So I believe the process is absolutely required in doing what we're doing. The process and the components of writing are the same no matter whether you're writing a short email, a long proposal, or even preparing a speech. The process is exactly the same. Same order, same thing. The 3 basic things to consider when you're writing anything or composing anything is first you have to consider your audience. Who is your audience? If you don't consider the audience, you're going to be way out back. The next thing to consider is, or to actually do, is an outline. Outline before you start doing anything. And the third thing, of course, is the content and how that goes together, the actual content. That comes last. The audience, I thought it was interesting in all the literature I was reading through Toastmasters on the website and all the literature that they suggest. There was a little quote that they gave that I thought was so apropos. It says, focus on your audience, not on yourself. Let me repeat that one. It says, focus on your audience, not on yourself. Oh, yeah, in preparing today's speech, I had to several times go back, yeah, it's not about me here. It's not about me. What's the point I'm trying to get across to my audience? There's 4 audience types that you have to consider when you're writing anything. First one is senior executives or CFOs. The next one is the scientists or PhDs or the experts, the extreme experts in a topic. A third one is the technical people, or the people with some knowledge. In this kind of an environment, you are my technical audience. And then the 4th audience is a lay audience, the general population. Now, when it comes to writing for a CFO, generally they just look at the overall summary. They're more interested in the financial bottom line. So they might look at an executive summary or something you write. The scientists are the most difficult to write for. They want extreme amounts of detail, a lot of data. The other thing is scientists and PhDs have a difficult time talking or writing to anything other than another scientist or PhD. I had a long story about a biomed firm I wrote for that I just can't go into the details of it all. It's way too long. But suffice to say that they gave me several hundred pages of CVs that I had to trim down to fit into an appendices that was 100 pages long. And I also had to switch to, the 100 pages was essential in this thing because the evaluators at the other end said if it's more than 100 pages long in the appendices, we will not review your thing. And they were looking for $3.5 million. So we got to trim this. Work it way down. The technical audience, the audience that I think is the easiest audience to talk to, all I do is put myself in the person's shoes. What kind of information would I like? And they're the ones that are the most common users of whatever you're writing about. That's the most common audience you'll ever find. The fourth and final audience, the layperson, most difficult audience to write for. I avoid writing for it because you got to go from the general to the specific, and it's far too much detail you have to cover, and whatever you're writing gets too long. Newspapers, magazines, write to that, and they bring it down to a certain grade level to write to cover everybody. And then if you really want to find out more about it, you have to go to some other source. The second step is the outline. Got your audience defined, now it's time to do the outline. I suggest writing the outline first. I learned about doing outlines when a teacher of mine, in early education for myself, had me read a number of newspaper articles and mostly newspaper magazine articles, and reverse engineer, basically pull out an outline of each paragraph by paragraph. And I found that the ones that had some sequence and parallelism, the sequence and parallelism, they were interesting to read. If they didn't have that, they weren't interesting to read. So it showed to me that you need to do an outline for everything and have some kind of sequence and parallelism to it all. The fourth thing is the content of the actual document you're doing. Toastmasters suggests an opening that I'd like to split into two. I believe splitting the opening into an introduction and a summary of an introduction, I think it works much better. The summary you're going to be writing last, but the introduction allows you, it's why you're writing the thing, and it allows you to flow into whatever you're writing. It gets the content to come out all by itself. But the four components of any writing that you're going to do, and sometimes you do it in your head kind of quickly when you're doing an email, is you need a summary, you need an introduction, you need the actual content, the body of, and you need a conclusion. And as we learned when we were kids in school, we learned about how to give speeches and how to write anything. It was tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. It's the same thing when you're writing anything. Try to keep that in mind. My suggestion is always write that summary last. Let the summary come out of the content of what you're writing. The Toastmasters book suggests writing an opening statement and everything right at the beginning. That's where writer's block kicks in. You get all wrapped up and then you try to write everything to meet that thing. Write what you're going to write, and the summary will come right out of it. That opening statement will come out of it. Same with an email. When you write the body of the email, the topic line will come out of it. Just let that happen. I think that works best. The intro, as I said, flows nicely into the body of what you're doing. It's a nice intro for yourself just to get the flow going. The body, however you do the body, whatever process you use, sequence and parallelism is essential. Absolutely essential. And the conclusion is a call to action for repeating what you said. So in conclusion, I'd like to just kind of wrap it all up with define your audience, outline, outline, outline. Write for your audience, not yourself. Write the summary last. And remember, effective communication is a process, not an event.